Hi everyone, I want to share the Gnostic Zodiacal practices for Leo. I know I'm a bit late into the period of Leo since there's only about a week left of it, but this video will serve not just for this week, but every other Leo period in future years. And also, it's just good to have this knowledge of each zodiac since they aren't just to do with birthdays and personalities and planets, but also actual spiritual and biological levels of our being, as we'll see. So I'm not going to talk about the exoteric traits of zodiac signs because you can read up all of that information about every zodiac quite easily, right? So I simply want to share the simple esoteric principles of each one and how they affect our level of being and life in general, and also share one or two practices to do with each one. So you can do any of these practices any time of the year. It's generally suggested to especially do them during the time we are in the cosmic rays of each zodiac period. So, for example, Leo is 23rd of July to 22nd of August. So, the practices I share here are especially good to do during that time. Now, I know there are many types of astrologies out there. I am not focusing on any of those. This is just purely from the Gnostic tradition. And, I was very interested in the Zodiac before I found the Gnostic teachings, so sort of mixed with my own intuitions, you could say. So, if you like this video, do let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to do all 12 videos throughout the year as we move through each house of the Zodiac, and hopefully I can maybe give examples of how you might actually be feeling those energies in your own life, and hopefully we'll see how the past few weeks of Leo has affected us and humanity as a whole. Maybe you can meditate on that as you listen. I thought Leo would be a great place to start, since I am also Leo, if you didn't guess it already. So just some preliminary information before we start. Every single zodiac sign applies to absolutely everyone because we all have all 12 zodiacal principles embodied within us. So, as above, so below. Just as the solar system's body is structured in a particular way, so too is our body. So this should become clearer as we continue. So the sign in which you were born under is not just an indicator as to what type of personality you have, but more deeply, it's pointing towards what your particular karma is, or what it might look like. Or in other words, your destiny or your soul's lessons that you're going through and what you're here in this life to learn. So if a person has integrated or overcome a lot of their zodiacal karma, then they can certainly start resonating equally or even more with other energies of other zodiac signs. Now, generally you'll hear a lot of good or nice things about each zodiac sign, but as many of you know, we have ego. So it's best to not just study the good things, the virtues of each zodiac, but also the negative manifestations, the vices too. So, for example, I can tell you that in my past life, I was famous and had to deal with egos of pride. So, in this life, it's quite clear to me that just one of the factors of me being a Leo in this life is for me to learn about the ego of pride better and obviously look where I am now. I'm in a very favorable position to study and transcend that ego of pride because, as you can imagine, I could easily become prideful about my YouTube channel or my books and thinking very highly of myself, that I have many subscribers, etc., right? So I'll probably point out some of these things in the videos, like these sort of personality traits, but as I said, I don't want to focus so much on the psychological aspects, but more on the esoteric principles that embody and symbolize and characterize the significance of each particular zodiac. So to study these 12 principles, these 12 zodiac signs, is to study 12 parts of our being. And so with that said, let me dive into Leo. I'll put some information on the screen of things which are to do with Leo, such as, Leo's metal, incense, stone, and things like that. You'll find that in most cases, that people born under Leo will very much like or benefit from these things. So, for example, I've always loved and am obsessed with all things frankincense. I burn it like almost every day, just because I just love that fragrance, that incense. And as you can see, Leo is the element of fire or light. This fire that rules the heart, and therefore it governs intuition. And the practice I'll share is to work with this heart gland, which is the heart chakra. You can also see Leo rules the spine too. So this is also to do with Kundalini. Remember that sexual energy is a solar force because all food has solar atoms, because without the sun, we would have no food, right? And the very last thing that is created in the body from the process of digestion is semen. And when we learn to transmute, we are actually harnessing the energy of the sun and its solar rays. So this is why Leo is known as the heart of the zodiac, because it is also the throne of the sun. And just as the sun is the heart of our solar system, so too is the organ of the heart, and it is the center of our being. In the same way, our solar system travels around the central spiritual center, or the sun of our galaxy too. And in the same way, in the spiritual planes, in the spiritual levels of the multidimensional reality, such as the astral, the spiritual sun also represents the absolute, the ayin, the ultimate reality, the being of all beings, the highest dimension, where there is, true oneness, or this law of one, where, only one law governs. So it is the light from which all things come from which all gods, goddesses, we all have this sense of this source of all things, right? So that's what the sun represents. So the heart is also where we take up our inner cross of initiation, just like the Master Jesus. So initiation basically, I'll leave links below, but initiation basically just means to actually begin to receive knowledge from direct experience. It has nothing to do with intellectual knowledge, nothing to do with ego or memory. Remember that the heart also has its own neurons, so it has its own brain and nervous system. Science has proven this a while ago. So it's a totally different sense of intelligence to our normal, rigid, linear way of thinking. It's intuitive. So initiation really goes beyond all dogmas, all doctrines, all theories. It is more about you finding out and becoming who you actually are. Initiation is a birth into your true universal self, and having no fears or doubts in experiencing that truth. So you may have heard me say before that Kundalini only rises according to the merits of the heart. So when we listen to the heart and act on its impulses, then Kundalini begins to work. So in this way, it's not the brain that controls Kundalini, but the heart controls Kundalini. And really, our inner master who resides in the heart controls our awakening and speaks to us there. So if we only ever lived from the hunches and the intuitions in our heart that our inner master gives us, we would have no problems in this world and we would just live perfectly. So this is also where each one of us realizes what real happiness is all about. And eventually, when we develop here quite a lot, we stop asking so many questions, because when we awaken, we start to get questions from within and from direct experience. Now, I know it's very easy to say, just listen to your heart. You know, that's such an overused saying, right? But barely anyone actually does that, you know? It's quite difficult to be present enough, to be sensitive enough to hear it all the time and act on it. And people say, they go through life and say things like, I think I'm going to accept this job or do this course or marry this person. It doesn't really feel right, but meh, it's fine, I'll just do it, you know? Like, no, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. You're going against your heart, and that creates karma. The scales become heavy. You become heavy-hearted. But if you say no to what you feel you should say no to, then most likely something better will come along. It will in most cases. So this is why people end up not doing things they truly love and enjoy, and why they end up in situations that make them unhappy and just worrying and thinking about things they're not supposed to. It's because at some points in their life in the past, they messed up. They didn't listen to their heart. They didn't follow the compass of the heart. They made decisions based on intellect and fear and security and greed, money, fame, etc. These things are not heart-centered. They come from the destructive, sinful, vice-ridden ideas of the ego collective, you know? We should not follow life according to what society tells us. You know, you should go to university and get a job and climb the ladder. Like, maybe that is right for you if you follow your heart, but we always all just follow a set rule that the collective has given us instead of listening to our own intuition, right? So decisions should be based on your own individuality. So the heart is also about finding your own real individuality, and this also contains your own creative force in discovering that. And you'll find that people who are most unfulfilled in their life and not doing what they enjoy don't have a lot of creativity. You know, it's been weakened because of this lack of this heart chakra, you know, awakening. So This is why it's also common knowledge that a strength of an integrated or self-realized Leo is very decisive because they have this good connection with their heart. So, if in the past few weeks, if you felt you've made some big decisions or changes recently, or had a change of heart, right? About, things, or you just really felt you've found yourself recently, then there was probably some influence of this Leo period that we're in right now, giving you a bit more of that energy to spur you on to fulfill your higher purposes. So as you can see, the fact that it rules the heart is very profound, and it really is the most important energy in the zodiac we have to work with. So unless we enter the heart, we only really live in our brain. So true awakening, or let's just say true living, is nothing to do with merely believing you should live a certain way. The reality of truth, of the truth in your life, cannot be defined with the mind and with words, but only lived in the heart in each moment. So, what good is it having beliefs, morals, virtues, ethics, if you don't actually act on them? So, to get this power of intuition from the lion's heart, you must be, or you must work to free the mind from theories, schooling, intellectualisms, spiritual dogma, etc. Like kill the ego or not kill the ego. Are you stuck in this duality, right? Reacting as another ego? Like, we need to really free ourselves from the mind. So, this intuition is the direct perception of truth without any reasoning or opinions or third party reactions in the mind. It's real life lived here and now. So for most people, maybe let's say doctors and scientists as extreme examples, for most people, they would never dare to drop their theories of life, right? They fear nothing less than for someone to come along and to tell them they are wrong. It's so vain to defend ideas that we don't actually know are true in our hearts. So therefore, this is just one reason Leo, or the lion, is depicted as brave and courageous, because it takes courage to see the truth and cut through intellectual vanities and false ways of being. The integration of Leo energy also sees the falseness and this fear in others who aren't acting on their truth. So usually an integrated Leo, they want others to be free from that, fear. And this is why it's related to kindness and generosity. It's just a giving energy, just like the sun. There's no ego behind it. It's just giving for the sake of giving. Now, of course, if this energy of Leo is not conscious within us, it can easily turn to pride, vanity, maybe anger at people who don't accept them, etc. So now remember, I'm not just referencing people born under this sign, it applies to all of us, this Leo energy. So, the zodiacal practices for Leo are wonderful. This is where we learn true and deep and profound meditation. It's not just sitting with a blank mind, it's connecting to the heart and connecting the heart to the mind. This is really what prayer is too. And the combination of prayer and meditation is far more superior than just meditation or just prayer. In reality, those two things should be combined. And yeah, in many ways, we can say that meditation is in the brain and prayer is in the heart. These two need to be combined. And, you know, it's not just a separate spiritual thing. We can say that the brain is more of this detaching into a spiritual dimension, and that's not connected to life. But then the heart is really it's the blood, the blood and the physical world and the physical body. So it's uniting spirit with the material. So there's a couple of practices I want to share here. Do absolutely any one that you want to do, whichever you feel is best in the moment. The first one is about focusing simply on deep meditation. Now, in order to understand deep meditation, it's described that meditation, this meditation, consists of 3 stages. One is perfect concentration, okay? And then 2, perfect meditation, and 3, perfect samadhi. Now, I know people might say, how can you do it perfectly? Well, if you advance properly, you should be practicing perfectly, honestly. An advanced practitioner moves beyond trying to still the mind, and they instead just still the mind, because they've developed themselves to a point where they have a good level of mastery over their inner faculties of thoughts, imaginations, emotions, and now they just do what they intend, and that's it. Yes, there's always challenges and noise in the mind, but generally, for someone who's been doing this for a good few years, the skill it becomes quite refined. So anyway, perfect concentration, perfect meditation, and perfect samadhi. Samadhi is this sort of bliss with our inner being. We'll see as we continue. So that's the general flow of any meditation, really, right? Concentrate, gather the mind into focused attention, and then actually meditate in the being. And for a while of doing that, then you enjoy the experience of union with the being, which gives this bliss and ecstasy and indescribable feelings. So for this practice specifically, we first concentrate the mind on the inner master. The inner master is the same as what was talked about in the How to Kill the Ego video, okay? So concentrate on your inner master in your heart. Then meditate on the greatness and majesty of your inner master. How just significant it is. How better it is than you, How better it is than your desperate beggar poor mind that just doesn't understand anything, right? So you meditate on that, and you feel that, and you start to merge with that. And then once you start to hear, once you start to listen and really merge with your inner being, with your inner master's voice of wisdom, when you really start to feel it, you escape the mind and you go into the being. That is called samadhi, and it can be filled with these ineffable emotions and level of consciousness that is very high. Okay, so that's basically the description of that practice. It's abstract, okay? Don't think about it. It's just concentrate, meditate, and converse with your inner master. It's really quite a basic description of meditation. And it's also best to practice this when you have at least some sleepiness or drowsiness. A lot of people fight against that feeling. Don't fight sleepiness. It's good for meditation. Have you ever been in meditation and you're very restless and you want to move and you want to itch and you're thinking so many thoughts? that's probably not what you're supposed to be doing in that moment. You're probably better, I don't know, going for a walk or something. So this sleepiness or drowsiness is good for meditation. Just when you're meditating with that, just don't identify with it. So sometimes we think we want to be very awake and energized from meditation. Yeah, sure, like when you just wake up, but generally, and for this practice, especially connecting with the heart and the inner master, be calm, totally relaxed. Let the body go deeply into relaxation while you concentrate on your heart and your inner master without identifying or following sleep. That requires willpower too, as well, in order to completely tame the wild horse of the mind and to not let it react to inner perceptions or sounds from the physical world, right? When you go to meditate, all kinds of scenes are sent to you from the ego, right? Just tame it all, relax, and do that practice. Now, there's a mantra that's provided to help you not identify or react or let this wild, untamed mind go crazy, right? And it's this. It goes like this. As you're in meditation and you see and or feel all of these movements in the mind and in the body, perhaps, you say within, not this, not this, not this. I am he, I am he, I am he. Okay? So in other words, I am not these thoughts, these feelings, these beliefs, these reactions, these questions, these vanities and illusions of the world. I am the being. I am the inner master. Okay? And only that. And that's it. So that is the mantra. Alternatively, you can also just do the vowel O, right? Or pronounced or, as in you're about to say Om, but just O. Okay, and this works with the heart chakra as taught in the chakra series. So you can do this vocally out loud or mentally. Sometimes I do either or, depending on how I'm feeling or where I am. But my personal favorite way to do it is first vocally out loud, and as you're in concentration and meditation and you start to penetrate deeply into your being and you really start to have this no mind or nothingness state, and you really continue, maybe you do it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, you'll start to feel a stage where there's an inner stillness really arising. And then you slowly start to vocalize more quietly until you transition to doing it mentally. And then eventually you stop and spend some time in this inner silence for as long as you want, in this timeless void of the being that you've penetrated into with the help of the concentration with this mantra. So it might, to demonstrate very quickly, you might start with oh, and then slowly oh, right? And you carry on, you're carrying on, oh, it's quieter, okay? And then eventually you're doing it mentally, okay? And the last practice is really with the same spirit as what I've just been describing, of entering our heart temple, but slightly different. And it's a very nice practice because a lot of people stress about what position the body should be in, and we become tense and have aches and pains, and and not just physically, but we have psychic tensions too. So we really have to learn how to relax the body, and really let go of tension. Tension in the body is really just a manifestation of tension in consciousness, tension of ego, and it manifests in the body as tension. Okay, so for this practice, we lie down on our back in a face-up position, and we open our arms and legs out to the left and right, forming the 5-pointed star. I can't do it here, but I'll put a diagram on the screen. This 5-pointed star represents the ascension of man. Now, if your bed is too small to do that, it doesn't matter too much if you can't spread out all the way, but maybe it's best also for you to do it on the floor, especially if you've not yet mastered lying down without falling to sleep. So it's probably best for you to, if you're very prone to sleep, maybe it's best for you to lie down on a harder floor so it's not too comfortable and cozy, right? And you can also just lie down straight with your arms to your sides. But the practice is having the arms and legs spread out on the bed, face up, forming a star. So just go to lie down with a sense of intent and purpose behind what you're doing, and not just like you're going to sleep, right, in your cozy bed, like we usually do, right? Then we focus on totally relaxing the muscles of the body, taking some deep breaths and starting to scan your feet up to your head, letting go of all tension. Then, here's the interesting part. We first concentrate our attention on the top of our nose, on the tip of our nose, until we feel or sense our heart's pulse there, okay? You'll feel it if you just keep your attention there. Just be patient, let the mind relax. Maybe you need to relax more, get in touch with your body more. You will eventually feel this pulsation, this heart's pulse there, okay? So once you feel that at the tip of your nose, or just in the general area of your nose, continue with your attention to your right ear. Okay, just place your attention there until you feel your pulse there too. Okay, then do the same with the left ear. Move your attention here. Can you feel the pulse? Okay, you will do if you're patient. Then do the same with the right hand. Okay, I think it's a little easier with your hands. I can already feel my pulse there just by moving my attention there, okay? And then do the same with the left hand. Then do the same with the right foot, okay? Then the left foot, okay? Then you can continue with your attention going back to the nose, ears, hands, feet, nose, ears, hands, feet, again and again until you feel your heart's pulse in all 5 areas of the body, okay? Nose, ears, hands, feet. So that's what we want. We want to feel the pulse of the whole body. If you find that all too complicated, you can simply just lie on your bed, focus on relaxing each part of the body slowly from feet to head, then just focus on your heartbeat in a meditative way. That's the simple version, but the actual practice is the best way because it gives you need some concentration for it, right? Now, this is more significant than just this practice. It's taught that, as with everything, we need to tame the mind, control the mind, and master our consciousness, right? We also need to do that with our physical body. So it's taught that we master control over our physical body by becoming in tune to our pulse in our hearts and the whole body, and also learning to control our pulse. And we do that by getting in touch with it. So, generally in life, we just let the body move autonomously all day, right? Like it has a mind of its own. And when we start to get in touch with the pulse, we can much better become more energetically sensitive to our unconscious impulses that happen throughout the day, and we start to learn how to live more carefully and intelligently and with more self-observation, more intimate self-observation. So we need to get in the driver's seat of our physical body too, right? Not just the mind. We all focus on just the mind, right? When it comes to meditation, but we also need to bring consciousness to the body. And so in order to sit in this driver's seat and control the body, this control is found in the pulse of the heart, of the heartbeat. So with this practice, feeling the pulse of the whole body with a calm and relaxed and tranquil heart really gets us in tune with our being. And then, as we do that, while we're doing this practice, we also want to be a little sleepy. Like I said before, I'm just repeating myself, just because we don't want to be restless, right? Maybe your heart will be going crazy. It's good to do it when we're very calm and we have tired out the body just a little bit. And then we can eventually, as we practice, lying down, feeling the pulse everywhere, we eventually start to feel the whole body, our whole being, our whole energy field as one pulse. It's a really amazing practice. And with even more practice, you'll instinctively learn how to bring peace and slowness to your own pulse, to your own heart. It's very profound to be able to go straight to your heart and bring true mastered tranquility there. You have to be absolutely relaxed for this. So it's really beautiful because the heart is the center and the most interconnected organ which brings blood to all other areas of the body and of the chakras. And just by focusing on this practice of the heartbeats, we can get in touch with every other center. Okay, and this can be done with the other meditation, like I said before. It can really be done instinctively with any spiritual practice or meditation. It's just another function or skill in your field of consciousness and of your being. It's something that you can learn to do. So Samadhi, ecstasy, satori, and things like that, they all always happen only with very slow and calm pulsations in the heart. Okay? It's only in this very subtle and profoundly relaxed inner quietude that we become fused with the being and the illuminating void. And only then can you really begin to pray and meditate and listen to your inner voice of silence, which can really endow you with intuitive knowledge of the meanings of your life and greater mysteries of the cosmos and much more. And it's all done just not through our usual way of thinking, but in just totally ecstatic and ineffable ways and levels of being that are indescribable to talk about once you try to put it into words, So, yes. Okay, well, thank you. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and I'll remind myself then to cover the other zodiac signs in the future, the next one being Virgo.